here with Senator Casey, and Senator, recently you helped pass, I think, probably one of the most significant bills that the United States Senate has passed in its history, something that's eluded so many people that had the opportunity to serve as you've served. And I want to thank you for what you've done on behalf not only of my family, but also of all of the workers who lose their health care when they get hurt on the job. That must have been a great day when the President signed that bill.
Well, it really was, because, as you said, for so many years, decades really, not only presidents but members of Congress have tried to change it. And really, when you get down to it, it does a couple of basic things. First of all, it reduces the deficit by over $140 billion over the first 10 years. Second 10 years, another $1 trillion on top of that of deficit reduction. It protects families that are, you know, for years families have had insurance and they're paying premiums, and they're not protected from what insurance companies can do to them, and I mean that literally, do to them when it comes to denying them coverage because of a pre-existing condition, cutting them off, putting limits on their care. They now will have protections from those kinds of abuses. Thirdly, it provides small businesses with tax credits that they've never had before to purchase insurance.
Our office, Senator, last year paid $235,000 in health care costs, money that we could have used to hire new employees, to buy new equipment. That's all money that's just $235,000. And my daughter and son-in-law who work for me have a special needs daughter who had a $56,000 hospital bill that was turned down, that we're in the process of fighting over right now. So when you talk about that, it's very personal.
Well, and I can hear some people saying, okay, well, you're giving small businesses tax credits. We have to pay a shared responsibility fee, but that is only for firms, small businesses that are above 50 employees. So most small businesses will never have to pay anything, and they'll be getting the benefit of a tax credit. The other thing it does, which I think is very important for older citizens, it begins to fill the donut hole, that gap between what the Medicare prescription drug program pays and what folks have to pay out of their own pocket when they hit a certain level. That's been a horrific nightmare for a lot of older citizens when they have to pay hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars out of their own pocket. So when it comes to older citizens, when it comes to small businesses, families, and finally I should highlight the number of uninsured. Over 30 million, maybe as high as 32 million Americans will have coverage. And that's not only good for those families who never had coverage before, but it's also good for those of us with coverage. Because a lot of people with coverage don't realize in Pennsylvania they've paid as much as $900 a year per family to pay for or to compensate for those without insurance. So it's a historic bill, and it's going to have a very positive impact on people's lives. But now we have to make sure it gets implemented well, and if there are problems with it, we got to correct it. But I think we're going to be stronger, not just in terms of our health care, but we're going to have a stronger economy because of the health care bill.
Just in the area of education, the problems caused by health care at every school district. I was a school director for 8 years. And strike after strike after strike in Pennsylvania related to one issue, health care. That problem goes away. I mean, it's been, I can't thank you enough, and obviously it was a hard lift.
Well, it took a lot of work by a lot of people, and we should mention the staff in the House and the Senate, the administration did tremendous work. But it wouldn't have happened without the leadership of the President, the Vice President, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, the leader in the Senate, all of whom took a political hit for pushing as hard as they did on health care. But there's no question it's going to strengthen our economy. Now, it'll take a couple of years to be fully implemented. But just give you a sense of what's coming. In this year, in the month towards the end of September, the legal prohibition against insurance companies denying a child coverage because of a pre-existing condition, that goes into effect this September. So that's one of the early, along with small business tax credits, that's one of the early benefits to the legislation. So we've got a lot more to do on jobs and creating jobs, and we're going to continue to do that. But this was important to get this done now and get it moving in the right direction.
Our stock market over 11,000. General Motors paying back the loans that the
Yep.
government gave them. They're producing good cars.
Yep.
Things are starting to perk there. The banks, how many banks have paid you back with interest the loans that were?
Billions of tens of billions now of TARP dollars have been paid back. And you and I were talking earlier today about just what happened in a year. January and February of 2009, 1.5 million jobs lost in the country. January, February 2010, 62,000 jobs lost. And in March, we've moved into positive territory on jobs. So we've got a long way to go, but I think we're making progress.
And I think, people start to see that slowly. But I mean, the wealth in corporate America that's now being amassed as a result of the increase in the stock market has got to turn businesses around to start hiring more Americans. I mean, I think everyone is timid about hiring, but the fact of the matter is it's going to come. My 401k, I now want to look at it when the envelope comes in.
Right.
6 months ago, I didn't even want to open the envelope to wonder how much I'd lost because of the depletion. And that was a risk that we had to take, and it was a tough risk. I think that there would have been, these Tea Partiers would have had the tar and feathers out for sure if things had not turned around. But now that they have, they still don't seem to hear the good news or want to hear the good news.
Well, some of it is you're seeing people positively impacted. We do have more work to do, there's no question. We have to continue staying on the jobs issue for the whole year so that we can put in place newer and additional strategies to create jobs. We just recently passed a 4-part bill, the HIRE Act, H-I-R-E, which has, for example, a payroll exemption for small businesses. In other words, giving businesses the incentives to hire more folks, and they're doing that. But we've got a long way to go. We still have to do as much as we can to help our small businesses to hire and to expand.
That's the engine that will
Yep.
make America run. And I started out as a workers' compensation lawyer back in the late 70s with a program that was called the CETA program.
Right.
Comprehensive Employment Training. I had an opportunity to hire an old friend who'd been a safety professional down at the Chamberlain Corporation. And the government paid half his salary, and I paid half his salary. 20 years later, he retired from O'Malley and Langan, and was a tremendous asset to me. But those type of programs really do work, and it's been terrific. Now, when we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit also about some of the things that we have ahead of us. So please stay tuned to You Be the Judge.